Hello, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. This weekend that just went by, we had the Battle of the Memes, where Tottenham Hotspur played against Manchester United. Beforehand, these two established top six clubs were more likely to fight relegation than being in any top six conversation anytime soon. This is Manchester United we're talking about here. Tottenham Hotspur got the win, James Maddison scored, and just got that massive 3 points. I'm looking forward to them dropping points against mid-table teams again next week. Who does Spurs play next weekend? Here we go. They play, oh god, they play against Ipswich. They are not beating Ipswich. There is genuinely more chance of them beating Man City at home next week than them beating either Bournemouth at home or Ipswich away. I put my house on the line. If Spurs somehow beat both Bournemouth and Ipswich, I will start off a video doing the gritty. It is not happening. Anyway, of course, after the game, everyone goes deep into Manchester United, as always. Ruben Amorim under pressure again. People comparing the likes of Marcus Rashford doing well at Aston Villa and Antony doing very well at Real Betis right now. Antony's doing so well for Real Betis that people are now saying that Lionel Messi is on fraud watch. And my response to that is Champions League Final 2011. Manchester United are now 15th place, and fortunately for them, they are only 10 points ahead, 17th place Wolves. They probably will not be going down this year, but I think on behalf of everyone, you might as well put them out of their misery and just do it now. But this video is not really about Manchester United more than it is about a certain individual, and a person that has got a lot of praise and plaudits in the last couple of years, always being seen as almost a sensible voice, a person to come to when you're going to speak about Manchester United, or at least he comes across that way in the media. That, of course, is Gary Neville. And after the game, of course, Gary Neville coming out against Manchester United as always and speaking his 2 cents on it. And I saw this article by The Telegraph, and I want to kind of delve into this because I found it really interesting. The headline being by Alan Tyers: "It is time for Sky to stop letting Gary Neville cover Manchester United." Since he's been part of Sky Sports, I've always seen videos of him talking about what needs to change at United. If it was under Ruben Amorim, if it was under Ten Hag, if it was under Ragnick, if it was under Solskjaer, if it was under Mourinho, if it was under Van Gaal, he's been there always giving me his 2 cents and, when needed, punching his club down. Sometimes that can be seen as justified. Someone that does know within the club, the ins and outs and what's going on, to give a down-to-earth opinion that is easily digestible. There's only one issue with this that I find. So comment down below your thoughts on Gary Neville, and even Jamie Carragher for that matter, and kind of how do you see Sky Sports? I see some people often, a game between, let's say, Fulham and Nottingham Forest, right? Whatever game is on Monday Night Football, for example, which is between 2 teams in a mid-pack, for example, or maybe a relegation scrap for Everton versus Wolves, whatever it is, right? Okay, looking forward to 10 minutes of Everton and then 1 hour about talking about how bad Manchester United are. You see that a lot when you're there to watch Monday Night Football about 2 teams, and really 10% is about the actual teams in the actual game, and the rest of it is talk about how bad United are. Comment down below your thoughts, like and subscribe, and of course, Vizeh Designs for the best football prints, all made by myself, over 1,000 prints, and thank you for the support. Use code Vizeh for 15% off all items. Let's go. Believe it or not, Gary Neville's opinion on how he speaks about the club goes a long way, and it can also already structure people's opinions about a club or a manager or a player, and people just kind of ride off his opinions at times. And when you're at someone like Sky Sports, and people have already gone into, we should stop having Jamie Carragher commentate on Liverpool games. It's like watching Liverpool fan TV sometimes. And after the 1-0 loss against Spurs, and let's be honest, Ruben Amorim, I did a video when he first joined. I thought he'd be doing a bit better than this, I'll be honest here. And I do think he's a good manager. I think United are cursed. I think they are just a completely shell of what was once a great football club. And is once full of ego, pressure, and constant demands and constant criticism from every angle possible. From every journalist, every media source, from the fans. Honestly, I can't imagine Manchester United being an environment where a player can feel like they got the freedom or the confidence to play their own game. I genuinely don't think it is possible. Even still, I still thought Ruben Amorim would be doing better than taking United from 13th to 15th in a matter of a few months. Let's be honest here. Gary Neville went at Ruben Amorim after the game, and I found something quite interesting. This is what Gary Neville said. It's absolute madness. The structure of the team is awful. You wouldn't see this in under 9s football. Amorim is really angry. He's going mad at this bench. He's shouting at people. I am not sure what he's angry about. The biggest problem I can see is how this team are set up. This was said despite the fact that in the last week, Gary Neville did an interview regarding his time, in his disastrous time, managing Valencia, emphasizing with the pressures that managers and coaches are operating in. Quote, I always stay clear of being really critical of managers when I'm working for Sky. I've already got multiple images in my head of Gary Neville in like a certain position or at a stadium just ripping into Manchester United. I remember that he was at Cardiff City Stadium one time that I believe United got absolutely tramped by like 4-0 against, I want to say Everton for example, right? And back in the Solskjaer days, just ripping into the club. Gary Neville is of course part of the club and of course part of the Old Trafford Regeneration Task Force. The idea that Gary Neville is part of the regeneration project at Old Trafford is interesting because it would be a conflict of interest if he was to come out and speak badly about the high-ups of Manchester United. Therefore, his views on the club and his views on the situation right now is, well, let's just say can be took with a pinch of salt. Can he really give his true and honest opinion when, if he does say what he really thinks, can really mess up some business decisions that he could be making? In this world, it's all about connections. It's all about networking. And if he was to go out and in some way bite the hand that feeds him, and this isn't to suggest that his only source of income is just by being part of the Regeneration Board, but that's definitely a link that you don't want to tarnish. So to have him not go at the board in the same way, I think is interesting. And I do think going at Amorim is very much pointless. Because what's the point of backing manager to believe in the project he wants to do when he still pretty much has the same team that he first started with? Half through a year, no pre-season. The issue is everyone likes the idea of giving a manager time to implement his system and to implement his culture, but no one likes to give them the time that it would take to actually do so. Very rarely things happen so fast, and you may say, oh, well, look, Slot is doing in Liverpool, and he took over basically what was Jurgen Klopp's team, and it's doing fantastic, ignoring the fact that the Liverpool team that he overtook was already a pre-made top-level elite club with world-class players already in there. United, how many world-class players do they probably have? You guys tell me, but it's probably no more than 2. People may say 1. People may say none. Ineos and the purchase of Jim Ratcliffe at the club has been strange to me in terms of the just constant ways that they've been trying to save money at the club, and is basically penny pinching every single part of the club, which doesn't make too much an impact considering the money you've already got paying for the wages of the players. Like making hundreds of people redundant that has a wage that are combined is probably not equal to just 1 week's of the player's salary. I just don't think it's justifiable. People may say that, oh, well, to make a culture change at a club, you've got to have a complete refresh. I could get the idea of that. I just think in actual process, I just think that it's going to just cause more confusion of what you're trying to do in the first place. What more possibly can be said by Gary Neville or Roy Keane about Manchester United that's not already been said or is not already obvious? And he has definitely gone much more into the manager and the coach this time than he has the actual higher-ups at the club. Maybe it's reasonable to say that he doesn't really want to attack them because of his own personal interest. And I do want to make it clear, I don't want to completely absolve any critique to Amorim. One thing that I do find quite frustrating is his lack of giving the youth a chance. The literal DNA of the club is based on giving youth players a chance, bringing in the academy. That's what is on the actual shirt, the fabric of the shirt. Youth, courage, success. So to give Obi Martin literally scraps and didn't even get a single touch in the ball, I find as a massive shame. I can't speak on behalf of every Manchester United fan, but I've got a good feeling that they would much rather see these young academy players get given a chance than to see what already isn't working now. Because I'll be honest with you, they cannot possibly be doing any worse than what is already happening right now. And United will keep losing, and Gary Neville will always go to the club each week, and in some cases you got to think of something different to say. And usually in this kind of world, it usually means saying something more and more harsh. And how long can that continue? with the idea that United may keep losing and keep failing. Maybe it would be more ideal to have people on board that's not Gary Neville or Roy Keane about United every single week for Sky. Maybe a bit of a fresh look on things could be more helpful. But let's be honest, that won't happen, because they know that when Gary Neville talks about Manchester United, they get views. He's got his own Gary Neville podcast, which basically every single podcast might as well be a podcast from a Manchester United fan channel. Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher is always a reliable driver of engagement, of headlines, of clicks. So this won't ever change. And a lot of this critique can be said for both Jamie Carragher as well. The reality is, if you aren't a Manchester United fan, Liverpool fan, or if you don't like them, or you just don't care about them, you'll be quite frustrated and just bored of the constant news and publication about both clubs on the Sky Sports channel. Comment down below your thoughts, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.